Opening in theaters this week is the horror movie Immaculate, and here's my review. The idea of a nun who's staying in a convent takes a disturbing path is one of a lot of potential, and director Michael shows quite a bit of ambition with its execution. Immaculate is a slow burn horror movie, but maybe a little too slow burn, and it does occasionally rely on a number of the familiar horror tricks. There is some invention here and there, but at a certain point one realizes that there's not a whole lot to the characters beyond the basics, and that does affect one's interest level as the story progresses. Sydney Sweeney does well in the lead role of Cecilia, playing up her outsider status to this Italian convent. She portrays her as someone trying her best, and while no less religious than the other nuns, is still looked down upon. Besides Sweeney, the standout of the cast is Simona Tabasco as her best friend at the convent, with that bond serving as the one moment of sunshine for Cecilia. The rest of the characters fall into simply defined roles, like the stricter nuns and the head priest. Meanwhile, Moan makes good use of the house in Rome, doing a lot with the location where most of the movie is set. When the horror aspects arrive, Immaculate sticks to the tried-and-true formula as we find out more about this convent. The film does not waste too much time bringing jump scares, a few which are telegraphed a mile away as Cecilia goes exploring and comes across things she shouldn't. The film also becomes reliant on gruesome imagery, but they're not much to write home about. There are a few sly bits of humor, but for the most part, Moan takes the material completely seriously. At a certain point, one realizes there's not much to Cecilia, and her changes in personality come across as sudden. The villains are largely underwhelming as they hatch that plot and try to control Cecilia. There's at least some atmosphere in the direction, and Moan tries his best to bring a certain chilliness to the film at times, even if it does not always succeed. At only 89 minutes, Immaculate does not overstay its welcome too much, although it is a leisurely paced film as it slowly spins its wheels. The film unsurprisingly takes a critical view of Christianity, but it's largely surface level and does not do too much to explore the more dangerous aspects of extremist doctrine. Immaculate is a noble attempt to do a 70s-style, schlocky horror film, but the story and characters end up feeling bare bones. Michael Mann has clearly put a lot of thought into his direction, which mixes a slow burn style with more elaborate horror elements, but neither ends up being particularly effective. As a showcase for Sydney Sweeney, she does show some potential in these kinds of horror roles, as underwritten as her character is. Immaculate mostly joins a long line of religious-themed horror movies and does what it can with a single location and the significant amount of blood and effects, both showy and subtle.